Today, we will journey to one of the most mysterious and breathtaking places on Earth, the Tibetan Plateau. A land hidden among the highest mountains in the world, where ancient traditions, extreme nature, and human survival come together in one incredible story. But did you know? Humans have lived in this frozen world for more than 21,000 years? Archaeological evidence shows that Tibet was once home to some of the earliest high-altitude communities on Earth. A place above the clouds, a place surrounded by giants. Welcome to the legendary Roof of the World. With an average elevation of around 4,500 meters above sea level, the Tibetan Plateau is one of the most extreme environments where humans have ever built a civilization. The air is thin, the winters are brutal, and the mountains seem endless. For centuries, Tibet remained separated from much of the outside world. Its towering mountains and harsh climate protected an ancient way of life that few outsiders could ever witness. But everything began to change in the early 20th century. In 1904, the British Empire launched an expedition to Tibet, driven partly by concerns about growing Russian influence in Central Asia. Then, in the middle of the 20th century, Tibet experienced major political changes when China entered the region and established control. Yet beyond politics and history, Tibet is much more than a place on a map. A world where monks meditate in silence, where prayer flags dance in the wind, and where every mountain, river, and valley seems to hold a hidden secret. Located in the heart of southern Asia, this massive land stretches across around 2.5 million square kilometers. That is a huge area. A world of towering mountains, endless valleys, crystal-clear lakes. But what makes this place truly special? It is the altitude. The Tibetan Plateau sits higher than almost anywhere else on the planet, earning its legendary nickname, the Roof of the World. The plateau extends from western China across regions connected to Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal, India, eastern Tajikistan, and southern Kyrgyzstan. Yet, the largest part of this breathtaking region lies within the Tibet Autonomous Region and Qinghai province of China. The highest plateau on our planet, with an average elevation of around 4,500 meters above sea level. Surrounded by some of the tallest mountains on Earth, this incredible land is truly the roof of the world. The mighty Mount Everest in the Himalayas reaches 8,848 meters, making it the highest mountain on Earth. Nearby, K2 in the Karakoram range rises to 8,611 meters, the second highest peak in the world. But how did this giant plateau form? Around 55 million years ago, the Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate. This powerful movement slowly pushed layers of rock upward, transforming an ancient seabed into one of the highest regions on Earth. And the story is still continuing. The Indian-Australian plate is still moving beneath Tibet, causing the plateau to rise about 5 millimeters every year. Today, the Tibetan Plateau is surrounded by legendary mountain ranges, the Kunlun Mountains, Chilean Mountains, Himalayas, and Karakoram, creating a natural fortress of snow and ice. A land above the clouds, shaped by millions of years of Earth's incredible power. The Kunlun Mountains rise up to 7,167 meters, forming a natural barrier between the Tibetan Plateau and the Tarim Basin. To the northeast, the Chilean mountains reach heights of around 5,808 meters, separating the plateau from the Gobi Desert and the ancient Hexi corridor. Meanwhile, the legendary Himalayas and Karakoram Range create a massive natural wall between China and neighboring countries like India and Pakistan. The Tibetan Plateau is not only home to some of the highest mountains on Earth, it is also one of the most canyon-rich regions on the planet. This incredible landscape is filled with deep valleys, massive glaciers, and vast areas of wilderness that seem untouched by time. Most of these spectacular canyons are found in the eastern part of the plateau. The most famous one is the Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon, one of the deepest canyons in the world, reaching a staggering depth of around 6,009 meters. Imagine this, a highway built through one of the most extreme landscapes on Earth. 2021, an incredible engineering achievement was finally completed, a highway cutting through the Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon, one of the deepest and most challenging regions on the Tibetan Plateau. This was not just an ordinary road, it was a road built against the forces of nature itself. The project began in 2014 with an investment of more than 2 billion yuan, around $310 million US. After years of construction, this highway created a vital connection between Ningxi City and Medog County. And here is the amazing part. The road reduced the journey from 346 kilometers down to just 180 kilometers. A place once considered almost unreachable suddenly became more connected than ever before. But the Tibetan Plateau is not only about giant mountains and breathtaking valleys. A secret source of life for an entire continent. The Tibetan Plateau is known as the third pole of the world because after the Arctic and Antarctic, it contains one of the largest reserves of frozen fresh water on Earth. These glaciers, snowfields, and rivers are not just beautiful sights. They are the heartbeat of Asia. That is why Tibet is often called the Water Tower of Asia. From this incredible land, rising more than 4,000 meters above sea level, some of Asia's greatest rivers begin their extraordinary journeys. The Indus River, the Ganges, the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and the mighty Mekong River, all starting from this remote and mysterious highland. These rivers flow toward the east and south of the continent, bringing life and water to millions of people across countries like China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. And among them, one river stands out. The mighty Mekong River. Stretching for more than 4,000 kilometers, the Mekong begins its journey from the Tibetan Plateau and travels all the way to the Mekong Delta. Along the way, it crosses 6 different countries: China, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. A single river, connecting cultures, ecosystems, and millions of lives across Southeast Asia. Scattered across this vast landscape are more than 1,500 lakes, both freshwater lakes and saltwater lakes, creating one of the most unique water systems on Earth. And around 1,100 of these lakes are larger than 1 square kilometer. Among them, one lake is especially remarkable. Qinghai Lake, the largest inland saltwater lake in China and one of the largest saltwater lakes in the world. Located in the northeastern part of the Tibetan Plateau, this enormous lake covers around 4,400 square kilometers, and it sits more than 4,000 meters above sea level. And when it comes to freshwater wonders, few places are as fascinating as Lake Manasarovar. Located near the sacred Mount Kailash, surrounded by snow-covered peaks, this lake holds one of the most important freshwater reserves in the region. At an altitude of about 4,590 meters above sea level, Lake Manasarovar covers around 412 square kilometers and reaches incredible depths. But life on the Tibetan Plateau is not easy. This is one of the harshest environments on Earth. The average yearly temperature here is around -5.6 degrees Celsius, and during the winter, temperatures can plunge below -40 degrees Celsius. Imagine a land where the cold can become a true test of survival. Because of this extreme climate, vegetation on the Tibetan Plateau is not very diverse. Most of the landscape is covered by moss, lichens, and low-growing tundra grasses that have adapted to this frozen world. But there is another side to Tibet. In the lower regions of the south and east, the landscape changes completely. Here, forests and vast grasslands appear, creating a surprising contrast with the endless high mountains. And despite the harsh conditions, this land is still home to many rare and precious species of plants. Among the high mountains of Tibet, local nomadic communities search for one of the most valuable natural treasures. The mysterious Cordyceps. A rare medicinal substance created through a unique relationship between a fungus and an insect. For centuries, Cordyceps has been used in traditional medicine, and today, it has become an extremely valuable natural resource. For some Tibetan communities, collecting Cordyceps during just a few weeks each year can become a crucial source of income. Is home to some of the rarest and most valuable medicinal plants on Earth. And one of the most fascinating among them is the snow lotus. Known as the king of 100 medicinal herbs, this unique flower has survived in one of the most extreme environments on the planet. The snow lotus has a remarkable appearance, a delicate white flower surrounded by layers of dark green leaves standing proudly against the frozen landscape. It grows among snow-covered mountains, where freezing winds and harsh conditions make survival incredibly difficult. Its rarity and incredible ability to adapt have made the snow lotus one of the most precious plants of the Tibetan Plateau. When we talk about Tibet, there is one mysterious land we cannot ignore. Hozil, also known as Kekeksili, a vast and untouched wilderness hidden deep in the roof of the world. Covering an area of around 83,000 square kilometers, Hozil lies in the northwestern part of the Tibetan Plateau, a place so remote that almost no one lives there. But this empty-looking land is far from lifeless. It is home to one of the rarest and most fascinating animals on Earth, the Tibetan antelope. For centuries, this animal has survived in one of the harshest environments on the planet. There was even a time when its precious fur became so valuable that it was compared to gold. But nature gave the Tibetan antelope an incredible ability to survive. Its special coat is made of 2 layers, long protective hairs on the outside and a soft, dense layer of underfur underneath. Beyond the breathtaking mountains and endless landscapes, the Tibetan Plateau is hiding something even more incredible. A culture filled with history, spirituality, and unforgettable traditions. The Tibetan Plateau is the homeland of the Tibetan people, along with many other ethnic communities, including the Monpa, Chang, and Loba. And the most amazing part? Tibet is not just a place you visit, it is a place that makes you feel something. It is a journey into the heart of human connection, faith, and nature. Here, Buddhism is not only found inside temples, it is everywhere. For many Buddhist followers, Tibet is a sacred destination, a place they dream of visiting at least once in their lifetime. And one of the most powerful symbols you will discover here are the colorful flags dancing in the mountain wind. These are the famous Tibetan prayer flags, also known as Lungta flags. In Tibetan language, Lungta means wind horse. The wind horse represents hope, transformation, and the power to turn challenges into opportunities. Tibetan prayer flags are usually made with 5 beautiful colors: white, blue, yellow, green, and red. Each color has a special meaning, representing balance between humans, nature, and the universe. But these flags are not just colorful decorations. At the center is the powerful image of the Lungta wind horse, a symbol connected with the 3 jewels of Buddhism. And look closely. The 4 corners often show 4 legendary creatures. The Garuda, a sacred bird, represents wisdom and freedom. The dragon symbolizes strength and power. The tiger represents confidence and protection. And the snow lion stands for courage and fearlessness. For many Tibetans, hanging Lungta flags around homes, monasteries, and mountain paths is a way to spread kindness, peace, and positive energy. They believe that when the wind moves the flags, their prayers travel across the land.
Not only famous for its colorful prayer flags, Tibet is also known for another fascinating sight. These are prayer wheels, also known as Tibetan prayer wheels or mani wheels. For centuries, prayer wheels have been an important part of Tibetan Buddhist culture. According to Tibetan Buddhist tradition, turning a prayer wheel is believed to carry the same spiritual meaning as reciting prayers aloud. With every gentle spin, a prayer is sent into the world. In Tibet, many people, especially elderly communities who may not be able to read, use prayer wheels as a way to connect with Buddhist teachings and express their devotion. Prayer wheels are made from many different materials, including metal, copper, wood, and stone. On the outside, you will often find sacred inscriptions, especially the famous Buddhist mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. Inside the prayer wheel, there are often countless scrolls filled with prayers and sacred texts. According to tradition, when the wheel is turned clockwise, each rotation is believed to represent the recitation of those prayers. Because most Tibetans follow Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism, many customs here carry meanings that may feel very different from other cultures. One of the most well-known and unique rituals is called sky burial. Unlike traditional burial or cremation practices found in many parts of the world, Tibetans believe that when the soul leaves the body, the physical body becomes only a temporary vessel. The body is no longer seen as the person themselves, but as something that can return to nature. During this sacred ritual, the body is carried high into the mountains and offered to sacred vultures. To many outsiders, vultures may seem frightening, but in Tibetan culture, they are not viewed as dark or dangerous creatures. Instead, they are respected as sacred beings that help guide the remains of the departed and complete the natural cycle of life. Tibetans believe this practice carries a meaning similar to the story of the Buddha's compassion, the idea of giving oneself to help other living beings. Sky burial is generally practiced in 2 main forms, a simpler ceremony and a more elaborate ritual. In the simpler form, the body is brought to the mountains, where the vultures naturally arrive. In a more ceremonial sky burial, the process is carefully prepared. Monks, known as lamas, offer prayers, while family members perform spiritual rituals to honor the person who has passed away. The ritual specialists prepare the body and perform traditional practices to attract the vultures. Every movement has meaning. Every prayer carries a message. Beyond its remarkable religious traditions, certain regions of the Tibetan Plateau have also been known for a unique family custom that has attracted the curiosity of researchers and travelers from around the world. This tradition is known as fraternal polyandry, a marriage system in which one woman is married to multiple men from the same family, most commonly brothers. While this custom may seem unusual to many people today, it developed as a practical solution to the challenges of life in the harsh mountain environment. For generations, some high-altitude communities practiced this form of marriage to prevent family land and property from being divided into smaller and smaller pieces. By keeping the family's resources together, households were better able to maintain economic stability and survive in a region where farmland was limited and conditions could be extremely difficult. Within these families, responsibilities were often shared among all members of the household. The husbands typically worked together to support the family, care for livestock, manage agricultural duties, and help raise the children. Meanwhile, the wife often played a central role in managing family finances and overseeing daily household life. In some communities, children might refer to the oldest husband as their father, while the younger husbands could be addressed as uncles or by other family titles, depending on local traditions. Although this practice has become much less common in modern times, it remains an interesting example of how human societies adapt to their environment and economic realities. It is also home to a unique culinary culture that has been shaped by one of the harshest environments on Earth. At elevations where the air is thin and winters can be brutally cold, survival has always depended on food that is simple, nourishing, and packed with energy. Unlike many parts of Asia where rice is the primary staple, people across the Tibetan Plateau have traditionally relied on barley and wheat as their main sources of food. The region's extreme altitude and short growing season make these hardy crops far more suitable for life in the mountains. Among the most famous traditional foods is dried yak meat, a protein-rich staple that can be stored for long periods and provides valuable energy during harsh winters. Another iconic Tibetan food is Tsampa, roasted barley flour that has sustained generations of Tibetans and remains one of the most important foods in Tibetan culture. Visitors can also enjoy a warm bowl of tukpa, a hearty noodle soup loved throughout Tibet for its comforting flavors and ability to warm the body in cold mountain weather. And so, our journey across the Tibetan Plateau comes to an end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey across the Tibetan Plateau, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating stories, incredible destinations, and mind-blowing discoveries from around the world. And now, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know which country you're watching from.